And we're recording. Yep.
Call this meeting to order. This is the regular town board meeting of Town of East Troy for October 14th, 2024, 6:30 p.m. Roll call, Karpowski here.
Leonard here.
Reyes here. Church here.
John are here.
Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, agenda. Can add anything? Is there anything that has to be removed? If not, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Second by Barb. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. All right, certification of compliance for open meeting law. Are all our postings in order for tonight's meeting?
Yes, they are.
All right. Okay, first thing we have on the agenda is a presentation from members of the East Troy Community School District Board on the referendum question, which is on the November 5th ballot. Floor is yours, gentlemen.
Thank you. We have some packets of information to hand out. Just raise your hand if you want to have one. We should have enough for everybody. You have this in your packets? Okay.
Yes.
Anybody?
We're good up there.
There you go.
It should pick you up.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll just start talking. Let me know if you can't hear me or if you get comments online, if I'm hard to hear or something. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you to the board for adding us to the agenda, and thank you for citizens for coming and participating. I'm Adam Wojtowicz. I'm the school board treasurer. We got Steve here. And we're here to talk about the upcoming referendum on November 5th ballot for capital referendum for the school district. Just a little bit of introductions. Meeting the facility challenge, a call to action. The East Troy Community School District does not have sustainable, predictable, stable funding within the state established revenue limits. Thus, large-scale facility repairs or replacements have been deferred and cannot be paid out of a limited building and grounds annual operational budget. While we are proud of the preventative maintenance plans and efforts at addressing some facility project needs each year and recognizing the employees within the building and grounds department work extremely hard, there are more large-scale projects that cannot be addressed. So going back a few years, how did we get here? What steps have been taken? You can see it started even before the spring of 2021, spring of 2022. But that was when Performance Services conducted a facility study and identified 113 different improvement projects. Fast forwarding to April of 23, there was a successful passing of a 3-year non-recurring operational referendum prior to addressing deferred large-scale maintenance projects. Last December, the Community Facilities Advisory Group was formed with 25 members. That consisted people, some were school staff, many citizens, and varied backgrounds. There were people who were new to the community, people who have been around for a really long time, various levels of expertise, people who didn't know anything about building and grounds, and there were some people who actually managed building and grounds for a living. So it was a pretty wide and varied discussion with that group, and we thank them for their work. Out of that advisory committee, they learned a lot about what was going on at the different areas. They took lots of tours. They had many discussions and narrowed down to some of the most critical projects, which then we included in June of this year. We sent out, the board and district sent out a community survey that was sent to the residents. Finally, listening to that community survey, the list of projects, the total amount, and the tax impact were all reduced. And in August, the board approved of a resolution. And so what was that resolution? The next page has the actual question on it. I will read it. It has to be in legalese due to the various rules of referenda. So it gets a little wordy, but bear with me. Shall the East Troy Community School District, Walworth, and Waukesha Counties, Wisconsin, be authorized to issue pursuant to Chapter 67 of the Wisconsin statutes, general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $19.4 million for the public purpose of paying the cost of a school facility improvement project consisting of capital maintenance, safety, security, renovations, building infrastructure, and site improvements at the high school, middle school, and Prairie View Elementary School, improvements to the bus garage and site, and acquisitions of furnishings, fixtures, and equipment. Steve, you wanna go over that?
The safety and security aspect of it was the middle school, where we need a secure entrance there. It's really the only building in the district that does not have a secure entrance. So, and also to change the traffic flow, dropping off and picking up students in the morning there. If you've been there lately, it's congested, to say the least. So, and Prairie View also has a, I don't want to really call it a secure entrance because you can still get into the building from the office. So there's some work that needs to be done, safety and security at Prairie View as well. And then the critical maintenance, I'll just read these through really quick. At Prairie View, there's critical mechanical equipment that's past its useful life, roof replacements. Everybody thinks Prairie View is only like 10 years old. That school was 1997, I believe, when it was built. So we're at 27 years. So there is some work that needs to be done. Window replacements, middle school. We have done some work on the middle school with the ESSER funds, but there are numerous roof sections that need to be repaired and replaced. High school, the HVAC equipment is well beyond its useful life. And again, roof replacements. A lot of the money for this referendum is indeed for roof replacements. The garage, the bus garage, we're doing asphalt replacement and some work on the bus garage itself because the buses are too long to fit in that bus garage when they need to be worked on. And we've listened to the survey, and the people in the district wanted us to do some improvements to the middle school to create better academic spaces. So that work will be at the middle school. And then the tax impact on this, it's $21 per $100,000 of value. So your average home in the district, if it's $300,000, your property tax will go up $63 a year. That's based upon current interest rates. We actually think the interest rate's going to come down before this all hits. So that rate could actually be down quite a bit. So the question is, why now? The referendum is essential if the residents want the school to continue the excellent education that families of this district value. Most recent family survey results indicate a 91% satisfaction rate towards the district's focus on the 6 C's. Without a capital referendum, the time has come when avoiding reductions to programs can no longer take priority over fixing our buildings. More is needed, but we heard you. Survey results told the district to ask only for the essential and most critical needs and to be aware of the tax impact. Schools reflect the pride and potential of a community. We ask every eligible voter to cast an informed vote on November 5th, East Troy Community School District ballot. So, I mean, we'd be happy to answer questions from anyone if you have them. That's why we're here. So,
Questions?
No, but I'll second the fact that the middle school is badly in need of a redesign for in and out.
reconfiguration. Yep, absolutely.
The
Question?
back page here, this last page has resources. You can see they're kind of blue and underlined, which suggests a hyperlink. All these different pages here, if you go to the school district website, they're right on the front top. There's a whole page dedicated to information about this referendum, and includes a lot of the details that are in here, and it goes in depth with some frequently asked questions. It has, one of the things that I like to draw attention to is the assumptions on the tax impact. I mean, if you look at it, some of the assumptions, like Steve said, the interest rate. One of the things that I looked at with the assumptions, and we have to do things conservatively. The annual growth rates in the community, 3.8 in 2024, 3% in 2025, 2% in 2026, and 1% thereafter. So meaning over the course of the referendum, usually it's 20 years, assuming a 1% growth rate would reflect the calculations to get this tax impact. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know the future. I'd like to think we have more than 1% in us across the district. What that would do, should it occur, would be lower the tax impact. Obviously, we have to put something into the assumptions, but those are the kinds of things that you can dig into. If you go to the school district website and have questions, there's a lot of information there for everybody. So definitely do that if you don't have any other questions today. But again, if you have anything that comes to mind, feel free to ask for it. Now we're here, we're available to answer.
I think it would be fair to say that we've heard of the deferred maintenance issues for many years now. So it's probably to the point now where you can't defer it anymore. Would that be fair to say?
And everybody, the building and ground budget, every year, we think, well, what do you do with money? Their building and ground budget is over $3 million a year, right? And that's for day-to-day upkeep. And there's a project that you just cannot address with in the normal course of a year. And the state has not kept up the funding, not even close to inflation. So that's why we're at where we're at.
The same problem here.
Yeah, right? You know,
It's universal.
yeah.
All right. Any more questions? We got the gentleman here. It's a great time. Any questions? All right. You did a great
Thank you
job.
for having
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
for being
Thank you.
here.
Okay. Minutes of previous meetings. Let's see what we have for. We have the minutes for the last regular meeting, September 9th. I didn't find anything in those 5 pages, 6 pages. 6. Anybody have any?
I think I do.
Go ahead, Barb.
Find it.
You do or don't?
I
You do.
thought I did. Yeah, under public comments, the first page 2 of 6, the first name Jennifer Torsch should be spelled Thorsch.
Thank you. I didn't know and I
I
couldn't
know.
find it anywhere.
I know.
So I appreciate that.
And I thought there was one other. Apparently I did not highlight it, so I have no others.
All right. Anyone else?
I'll
Make a
make a motion to approve the official Town of East Troy board meeting minutes for Monday, September 9th, 2024 as amended.
I second it.
All right. We have a motion and a second by Ty. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. That was the only minutes. No plan commission meeting minutes? No. Nothing else? Nothing? Okay. All right. Clerk treasurer's report. Mr. Cannon.
Treasurer's report for September 2024. Total receipts were $67,855.99. Transfers for September were $587,000. Interest earned was $262.98. Balance as of August 31st in the general checking account was $9,778.54. Total funds were $664,897.51. Checks paid in September were $626,296.05, leaving a balance of $38,601.46. Boat lunch today is $49,910.56. Although we do pay sales tax on that.
Okay. Any questions on the treasurer's report?
$90 to hit that 50K, right?
There's a little bit more.
Yeah, we have like almost $1,000 more.
Okay,
So we might,
yeah, sounds like we'll be over.
All right, if no questions, need a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report for the month of September 2024 as presented.
Second.
Second by Joe Donner. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None, motion carries. Any questions on Kim's report is in the packet. Any questions on the report? None? Okay, move on. Okay, public comments. 4-minute rule, as you know, state your name and address, come on up. Public comments.
Good evening. Thank you for having me get this opportunity to speak to you this evening.
Name and address,
I'm
please.
Charles, yes, I'm Charles Kaska, Kaska, 9174 Humphrey Lane. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife, Dr. Jennifer Torsch, T-H-O-R-S-C-H, who is on the board of the Protect Lake Beulah and is unable to be here tonight. I oppose the request by West Rod Cottage Industries to rezone a sensitive area of Lake Beulah to a C2 designation for the following 3 reasons. 1, the area being proposed is of critical importance to the environmental health and preservation of this sensitive habitat. In addition, increased activity in this area by marina traffic will disrupt the ecology of the lake. Bear in mind, the person who's speaking this is the Emeritus Director of a Center for Biodiversity and Ecological Restoration. 2, it is critical to prevent these areas which surround a sensitive habitat from causing irreparable damage. Activities would be negative impact this sensitive area include developments such as buildings, grading, parking lots, runoff from nearby areas, and improper use of a C4 area. 3, the site is included in the Pickerel Lake Fen in the SEWRPC, which is SEWRPC, and Walworth County Natural Areas Plans, and designated as a natural area of statewide importance. Rezoning this sensitive habitat would have long-lasting negative consequences for Lake Beulah and the state of Wisconsin. It's signed by the speaker. And does anyone care for a copy?
Sure, I can take a copy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Next.
I'm Brian Fonz, N8680 Wilmers Grove Road.
Thank you.
Okay. And I just have a few comments and a little bit of follow-up. I am on the, recently was added to the board for the Protect Lake Beulah organization. And I was at the last meeting and heard many of the comments that were presented. And the first thing I just wanted to follow up on was a lot of discussion and presentation was about the critical habitat area and the sensitive area of what we're talking about back in West Bay. And in fact, I have some copies of the maps here. Can I give this to you guys? Or, okay. And Is there two there?
Yeah.
And a couple of points. One, when we're looking at that area, it's basically the whole bay. So when you look at Stringer's Bridge Road, that's pretty far on the west end, which would be the left side of the map down the bottom left corner. And that's approximate area where we're looking at trying to rezone for a marina. But there's a long channel to get out of that bay. And I moved on this lake in 1982. I run the bass tournament for 20 years. I'm very familiar with that area. I fish back in those flats. And when I go back in that area, I carry a 15-foot pole with duckbills, because if you get off that channel, it quickly gets to be 6 to 8 inches shallow and you get stuck very easily. So one thing to bring a john boat through that channel. It's another thing to bring 18, 20, or 24-foot pontoon boat, which catch wind or they're loaded with 15 people. You get off that path and they drop that motor, get out of there, it's gonna just rip it up. And, you know, I don't know that a pontoon boat's gonna be able to push pull their way out of it. So there's just a practical aspect of the type of boats that might be harbored back in there and used, and the damage that they could do. The channel itself is no wider than the pontoon itself. Most areas it's 6 feet wide. Some areas a little wider, some a little less. But just trying to maneuver a boat back in there, backing it out of the slip where it's at to get it turned around to come. Like I said, you get off that channel and it gets shallow extremely fast. So I have real concerns about going from an area where we keep john boats to try and put pontoon boats back in there. And it is quite a ways to get out of there. And again, that is a ecologically sensitive area designated as a critical habitat area by the DNR. As Tom Vandebogart had brought up at the last meeting, and it was debated that in 45, 50 years, there has never been a rezoning of a critical habitat area to harbor a marina, or to rezone for a marina. And I talked to him today. He went back and he talked with a DNR person, Heidi Bunk, and she confirmed that that is the case, that there has not been a rezoning of that type of an area for a marina in modern history, really.
That's time, Brian.
Okay. Just in general to wrap, I have real grave concerns about trying to use pontoon boats there, and
Time is
oppose
up,
that.
unless
Thank
you
you.
want more. You're good.
And I want to be recognized if I can. I just want a reminder to go out that anything that is handed out tonight is for informational purposes only. It's not evidence that the board will be basing its decision upon. It's not noticed as such. So whatever was just handed out was a visual aid, but it's not evidence.
I believe this may have been handed out at the plan commission meeting.
Okay.
That is from the
You see it?
Yeah, Kim showed me hers.
Okay,
Hi, Pat Bergen, W1905 Pastime Lane. I am the chair of the Lake Beulah Management District. If I could, I'd just like to start out with a quick question. What is under consideration tonight? Can I ask the board of that?
it's noticed as,
It's a yes or no vote on the rezone request. It'll be a roll call vote like last month.
Okay. And what is the result of that rezone request? Does that go then to Walworth County, or will
Yes.
this be? Okay, so it doesn't get kicked back to the plan commission?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. So the only issue in front of the board is a complete rezone of this property from C4 to C2. And we've all heard the explanation of why this is an extremely sensitive area. So I guess, and I heard I saw heads shaking right away. This is a complete rezone application, and I heard from the Plan Commission last time around, or from the board itself, that this is somehow a split rezone. So can someone explain to me how we got to that point?
There's,
This is not a Q&A.
right, there's no questions to the board. It'll be a vote on the application as it came in,
Which
period.
is a complete rezone.
As a
Yes.
complete rezone.
Yeah, the application was for a complete, the whole property.
Okay, it just seemed, as the chair of the district, I get a lot of questions, and there were a lot of people watching, and there are a lot of people that reviewed the decision, and were extremely concerned that this group thought that this was a partial rezone application. And I fielded a number of questions, both at the Protective Association's meeting, and I really would emphasize that this is a complete rezone application, something that has literally never been done before in the history of the state, to move something from an environmentally sensitive recognized area from C4 to C2. And it's really going to open a significant can of worms. The other major problem with the proposed rezone is even a rezone to C2, the applicant needs to demonstrate how he's protecting this environment. And he has done nothing of the sort. He essentially wants to pave it over, and he wants to put a marina into this environmentally sensitive area. The marina is going to cover up area that is sensitive fish habitat. It is going to affect the reproductive grounds, spawning grounds for fish. We have heard all of that testimony. One of the things that this group needs to show is that it doesn't have any effect on those things. It's right in the statute. So not only is this C4 property, and quite frankly, the definition of C4 property, and it's extremely valuable, and it doesn't, once it's destroyed, and he's working on destroying it, it's gone forever. You can't rehab it. You can't just take a priceless piece of property and put it back into circulation. The other thing is, this is obviously it doesn't meet the definition for C2 property. But the other, clarity, we need to have some clarity with what goes to Walworth County. We need to understand that he doesn't have 250 feet of frontage here. He has about 130 as outlined on the survey. So there's no entitlement here to 10 boats in any event. So we would need to change the law. And the last thing here is what we have here is a serial code violator. And what this board, by changing the zoning from C4 to C2, is recognizing the fact that, okay, well, we've got a violator. What are we going to do? Do we enforce our laws? Do we enforce the laws we have on the books? Do we get someone to comply before we even consider his desire to change the law? Or do we just let him keep violating the law and keep violating the law and keep violating the law? And that's what this board is doing by allowing him to make this zoning change. We're rewarding him for violations of the law.
Time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Public comments? Anyone else? Jess, Dynick?
Jess Steinig, W1969 Insular Road. The only additional comment I would like to make is, and we've heard this before, but the definition of C2 requires 5 acres. He is 4.5 acres short of meeting that criteria. There is also the comparison of a neighbor that we keep hearing that it was awarded to that person. My understanding of that property, which I don't know the exact address of that property, but my understanding from talking to people, that is a 5-acre parcel. So that parcel meets the criteria, which is why it was changed from C4 to C2. This is 0.4 acres. Unfortunately, 4.5 acres short of meeting the minimum requirement for what would be considered a C2 property. As a reminder, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Public comments? Just those? No?
I'd like to hand out a couple of visual aids if I could real quick.
Which one is started, just so you know.
Start right now. Okay, can I have 2 of Carla's minutes? After 4?
Nope.
Well, I'd like to rebut what the other guy said. It's hard to do it in 4 minutes.
That's the time that you're allotted. I'm gonna ask for additional.
So I want to start out by saying, most of the stuff that Patrick Bergen mentioned tonight is in total error, and I have documents and facts here that will back up what I'm trying to say. So I want to begin by addressing the question, was my application to the Planning Commission filled out correctly? The first step is to go to the Walworth County to make sure what you're asking for is even possible with the county. The county are the experts when it comes to shoreline zoning. So I contacted Kate Hastings at the county, and I explained what was going on here by the misunderstanding of my application, the way it was filled out. And I wrote her an email, and I want to read it to you, and I want to read you her response back. Hello, Kate. The date of this was September 19th, 24. Hello, Kate. This is a follow-up letter to our phone conversation on 9/13/24. We met in person on May 6, 2024. We went over my rezone and conditional use application for my property known as North 8828 Stringers Bridge Road. We discussed in detail my application to Walworth County for both my rezone and conditional use for the above mentioned property. I brought in my wetland delineation survey map that had 2 legal descriptions on it. One legal description showing the area to remain in C4, wetland along the shore. The other legal description showed the upland portion of the property that I was applying to be changed to C2. At the conclusion of our meeting, you provided your initials on my application to signify that I met with you and my application was ready to be turned into Walworth County. I submitted a copy of my application to the town of East Troy as I was instructed to do by the Planning Commission clerk. I filled out my application to the Planning Commission the same way I filled out my application to Walworth County. I understand from reading the Walworth County zoning book, you cannot rezone any land in Walworth County that has been determined to be wetland after a wetland remediation has been done. Can you please explain to me in your response that the way I filled out my application to Walworth County was done correctly, was necessary for me to write the word split zoning on my application to the town? Could you please clarify this for me? And then Kate responded back to me in a little over an hour and 10 minutes later. Good afternoon. The term split zoning is not something I am familiar with, nor have I required applicants to put it on their rezone applications. Should the rezone request be approved, by your parcel would technically have dual zonings, 2 districts on 1 parcel, but you are only required to rezone a portion of C4 to C2. So only the C2 would need to be listed on your application. Since the entire parcel is already zoned C4, you are requesting 1 new zoning district on the parcel. Signed, Kate Hastings. Okay, now I want to show you here, these are the Wisconsin ordinances here, how to determine the shoreline of the frontage of a shoreline. And in Wisconsin, on public inland lakes, you do it using the survey wheel. So you measure all the irregularities, regardless of irregularities of the shoreline. So I don't have 134 feet. I have just about 250 feet. I'm just a few inches short, few feet short, because I had some erosion going on there. So basically, the statement that I don't have the shoreline is erroneous. Now, if you look at the next page that I provided to you in your packets here, this is off Google, and it basically states here, how much? It states there's some exceptions to the rules. Piers ending before April 17th can keep their existing boat slip usage. Chairman Klarkowski said only the piers are grandfathered. That's wrong. And then on the next page here, on the DNR's website, it says boat slips are included as well.
Time.
Okay. Carla Georgie, North 8590 Stringers Bridge Road. Just to emphasize what John said about the frontage, I actually called the DNR today and asked questions like that. It's also on their webpage, and we submitted that to the Planning Commission, but they always want to ignore it. There is an asterisk on their webpage stating with all new pier requests that you do have to follow the rules of 50, 2 boats for first 50 feet. After each 50 foot after that, you get a slip. There's a bottom asterisk that states that as of April 17th, 2012, anything that's grandfathered before that, you are allowed the exact boat slips you have, along with the piers. We've submitted that again to the planning commission and they just kind of ignore anything that we give that's contraindicated to what they're saying. Also, I'd like to go into my question on what happened last meeting. I've been coming to a lot of town meetings over the years, and we have not had a motion placed on the agenda ever. The last couple of meetings, we've added that. We would not be spending more time on the rezoning if it would not have been on the agenda to be read like that. There was total confusion, and what was placed on last month's motion was more or less a negative. It was a motion to approve the planning commission recommendation to deny. This month, it's changed to motion to approve the rezone request for our parcel. If it wasn't placed in that negative format, we wouldn't be here right now because the three supervisors had to vote on a negative to a negative, a denial of a denial. So then it goes up to the county. The county goes, what is this? It comes back down, and now here we are to try to correct what was done last month. So now you can say, yes, I want to rezone it, or no, I can rezone it. So I hope all this other stuff going on doesn't change anyone's minds, because simply it never should have went back to the county the way it was stated. Another thing, I've listened to all the planning commission meetings, and I have minutes of them talking about basically dual zoning. There's no such thing as split zoning in Walworth County. I have at least 4 or 5 spots where it is talked about that we are not rezoning the C4 of the property. Everything from the delineation line upland is going to be C2. I don't know why they insist that. There was nothing ever said about that. All these meetings were all about that because we had to prove that we had an updated delineation map. We've satisfied that. Again, I have several points where they spoke about this. In fact, it's even in the June 5th minutes that were approved. It states right there that Chairman Cook talks about it and corrects a few of the alternates that were put on the planning commission that they had questions about. Well, is this a full rezoning? He said, no, John is not asking for a full rezoning. So if, as you said, you listened to all those meetings, you know darn well that they spoke about that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, public comments?
You might want to say something. I've read something down.
Okay.
You have another?
She already started her.
I can speak, right?
Yes.
My name is Patricia Cook. I live at W1337 Beulah Lane Road. I have a real estate broker's license, 30 years of real estate and dealing with different zonings or whatever. Number one, the zoning that someone said you had to have 5 acres. The 5 acres is for if you're going to build a house. And for different zonings, you can have 4.8 or 4.5, something like that. Because I was working with a property with the county with a rezoning in the township of Troy. Also, rezoning, part of it being like 4 something and 2, you want to change the 2 something? Okay, the 2 doesn't have to have 5 acres. I know that. You have to talk to the county if you don't understand that. And these maps that they have, well, the maps get updated all the time or will or could be changed according to, is there's trees there? If there's trees there, then you take it out of wetland zoning and put it into a different zoning. So unless that's in water, the part they want to rezone, then, they should be able to do that. If there's trees on it or bushes, they should be able to change that part. Somehow or another, it was oversighted so many years ago. And, let's see, there was something else. And who wrote up some kind of document that went to the county? I would like to see that. Was that written by a real estate broker in the state of Wisconsin or a real estate attorney? Or was it someone in the group pretended to be a real estate broker or attorney? Because that's a violation. You can't pretend to write up documents to do that. No, whoever wrote up something, who wrote it up?
You could submit an open records request and we could look into it.
Well, that person has to be reported as state.
No, she's.
Real estate broker's license, people do report these things to the state. We're responsible to doing that. So when there's something not doing correctly or someone's doing something strange, but I'm surprised you have an attorney here. How come you didn't write it?
Because I wasn't at the plan commission minutes to draft a resolution.
But there's municipal attorneys for the townships and cities in the state of Wisconsin. That if you don't have an attorney that wants to write it up, then you go to those stations. And there's
And
one
with respect to
downtown
real estate forms, yes, the standardized forms can be filled out by real estate brokers, but a real estate broker cannot draft a resolution unless you have a law license as well.
A real estate broker can draft things in offers.
In offers, that's a standardized form that the state uses.
So if you have to do it with an attorney, why didn't you do it? Or why did the group go to someone that's called a municipal attorneys? There's municipal attorneys
Municipal.
downtown, downtown Waukesha.
I'm a municipal attorney. Minutes were forwarded to the county. Minutes do not have to be drafted by someone that has a law license.
But it sounded like it was saying something of something of something of something, but you didn't explain the something.
I don't
I'll look it
understand
up.
the question.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, if you're speaking of the resolution that was on the agenda last month, that is in the packet. Last month's agenda, that will be there, the resolution. Yes. And that has nothing to do with realtors.
So I guess basically what I'm saying is if you have one zoning, you can change it. One's wetland and one is not. Wetland, even wetland you can build on. A lot of Milwaukee is built on wetlands.
Okay. How's time?
13 seconds.
13 seconds.
Do you guys have anything?
No.
It's your time.
Now there's.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Patricia. Public comments? Anyone else? Gentleman in the back. Come on up.
Scott Cornell at 24 New Deal Avenue. Been here before a couple times, many times. Just met John down on the road. I was taking some pictures of his machinery. It was not a pretty sight. The barge that he has down there I talked about before has come loose and hit the bridge. The barge is on where he wants to do this rezoning. You can see the marks there. He digs out just enough for a pontoon. He's got 7 down there now. You can go down there right now before the grass grows because we had rain and take a look what he's going to do in the future. He's going to put about 6 or 4 more over there. You can almost fit them right in there. His 130 feet or 180 is now 240, just like he did in Milwaukee somehow. He got more frontage on a road. He uses the big equipment. He digs out the dirt, sends us on a way. We can take a ride. I can get some pictures for you. You can go on the boat. You can do whatever you want to do. You can stop at the bridge and look at the marks of the barges. Now it's on the other side. Last year it was in the water. I think it's over 20 feet. I don't know. It's a big piece of equipment. So he's digging out also the dirt towards the bridge on his West Drive cottage situation. Parking lot, I read his permits. He's talking about mooring boats. You can put an anchor, a chain, and moor a wave runner. You can moor another boat. Maybe it's not close to shore. He doesn't need piers right now for the pontoons that he's got there. And eventually those will be shifted over and he'll have the bigger pontoons with the 225, whatever he's going to do. A couple gentlemen here said they fished. I've been out here on a fishing guide. I've been out here since '83. I know we call them Freddy pads. I can take anybody in there and tell you he's stumping. And he's stumping any of the pads on Lakeview. And I'll put my word to it. Stumps. They're 149 years old, disappear. They come in with new trees. I can take the fishing holes where the bass are, the smallmouths, the largemouths. What he's doing here, he's been doing ever since in Milwaukee. And I think one of his lawyers even said the best thing for John Stouse to do is to move out of Milwaukee. That was his word. I'll reserve the balance of my time for his whatever. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. All right, public comments. Everybody good? All right, we move on. Report of committees. My report was in the packet. A lot of phone calls this last month. I really only had one real meeting. That was the town association at Waterford Tri-County Unit meeting. Had quite a few site visits on the road construction projects. We had some challenges this year. Pretty much all done now, and we'll hear from later. One of the other issues was ATV signage. We got that taken care of also. At the last True Troy meeting of the full boards, we had discussed the TAP program award that the municipalities of the town of East Troy, village of East Troy, and village of Mukwonago on the multi-use trail. We were talking about, I thought we were saying $40,000. No, the actual amount of the grant was $76,000 of federal funds, 19,000 of local funds, and that's split three ways. And that's for the planning phase of a potential multi-use trail between the village of East Troy, the village of Mukwonago, going through the town of East Troy. So there'll be a scoping meeting coming up on that one pretty soon. I believe, yeah, that's all I had for my report. Okay, Supervisor, you had an activity report?
Yeah, my activity report's in the packet, but I would like to call attention to September 21st. The Lakeview Protective Improvement Association has rebranded itself and is known now as Protect Lake Beulah. Their fall meeting was held on the 21st, and its focus was on wake boats. They have out a survey that they're asking for people to complete. Members received this survey via email. It is due now October 18th. That deadline was pushed back a few days so that more people could complete that survey. If you are not a member but would like to offer your opinion on wake boating, I encourage you to go to the www. Protect Lake Beulah website and look for the wake boating tab on the homepage. And it will provide a link to, I believe, SurveyMonkey to complete that survey. So that is due by October 18th. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Barb. The media IT report from Jen is in the packet. And just the highlights are there's now 393 subscribers to the website, YouTube, the live streams up to 65, and Facebook 1311 followers. So, all right, Department of Public Works, Superintendent Shield.
Not a whole lot this month. It was basically all just road work. I'm sure you guys seen everything in my little report. Finished road work's all finished up, all the shouldering's all done. Just waiting on a final bill to see how it went. Other than that, there hasn't been a whole lot.
So what is left to be done on any of the projects? Are they totally done?
Yep, now we're just.
Maintenance and the new paving?
Yep.
Everything?
Yep.
All right, any questions for Todd? Anybody?
Thanks for decorating the park. It looked really cute.
Yeah.
Yep, it's been a big hit from the people I've talked to from the railroad company, so.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Police Department report, Chief Garecki.
Excuse me. Through the month of September, we had 8,137 calls for service, or an average of 3.4 calls per shift. Through the end of September, we had written 850 citations, or an average of 3.1 citations a day. That, I believe I gave everybody a packet. Most recently, made you all aware of the incident over by the boat launch on Wilmer's Landing. I have nothing that isn't in the press release that I can give to you at this time. So, kind of, it's in the hands of the investigators in Waukesha County right now, so they're taking care of that. And then the last thing on the agenda was the closed session where I asked if we could change the rank of Lieutenant Runge and change his rank from lieutenant to deputy chief. And I believe that needs to be voted on in open session.
Okay. I would like to read into the record. I got a letter from Officer John Jagelski in regards to this promotion. I handed it out to the board. I'll read it. Chairman Clarkowski, please pass this on to your other board members or read into the meeting. I noticed the agenda for Monday in reference to the possible promotional vote for Lieutenant Runge to Deputy Chief. I want to express my support for this promotion, not only as a current town resident, but a town employee. I have known Lieutenant Runge for a number of years, professional and personally. I have seen both Lieutenant Runge and Chief Garecki's dedication to the department over the past 2 years in rebuilding our agency and providing a strong support for officers to go out and perform our challenging job. I felt compelled to write you this after a critical incident last week in our town. I was called in to assist with the incident that involved a number of officers, including one from our agency. I came to work to find Lieutenant Runge and Chief Garecki had both left their families in moments' notice to respond to make sure our officers were okay and to help facilitate a very complex investigation into the incident. The unwavering dedication and concern for their officers and community was something I took a great deal of pride in observing, not only as an employee, but as a town resident. Lieutenant Runge's dedication to this agency and supporting his officers has been unwavering since his start back when I brought him on board as a part-time boat supervisor. Lieutenant Runge's open door policy to come and talk about any issues in and out of the career are hard to find these days. Lieutenant Runge was instrumental in our new building addition and coming in on off time to help set up our roof radio antenna and miscellaneous projects that have saved the town money and increased officer safety. In my 18 years of this career, I know how difficult it is to find supervisors that embody the dedication and leadership Lieutenant Runge has shown. I would ask the board to vote in favor of Lieutenant Runge's promotion and appreciate your time in reading this letter. I believe, I don't think we have a separate item for it. I think we approved that right now. So,
That's what it says. Approved motion.
any more discussions on the promotion of Lieutenant Runge?
Is there a motion on the?
No,
Nope.
it's not.
Any discussion before we,
No.
okay, motion then, someone?
I'll make a motion that we allow Police Chief Garecki to promote Lieutenant Runge to position of Deputy Chief.
Second. Ty, Leonard,
That
second.
goes down as a tie.
Okay. Any other discussion from anyone? All right, on the motion to approve that promotion, Lieutenant Runge, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. All right, anything else on your report?
I do not have anything.
All right.
there was peer permits, but I didn't see anything on there. We're still working on those, I
Nope.
believe.
Nope, we should be all taken care of.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
I know, us.
It is contract.
Okay.
Okay, all right. ETAESD report, Supervisor Church.
There is a report in the packet. However, I want to call attention to the East Troy Fire and Rescue held its annual pancake breakfast at Gus's on October 6th. The event had a great turnout. Thank you to Supervisor Leonard, town police officers Runge and Jagelski, now Deputy Chief Runge, and Officer Jagelski, and Cub Scout Troop Pack 17, who aided the firefighters by greeting patrons and cleaning up the breakfast area. So thanks to all the public and all those who attended to help the fire district. I appreciate that. Thank you. Any questions? I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Right, Park Committee report, Supervisor Reyes.
Yeah, so this evening I made copies for everyone of our August 5th meeting, because last time that was not completed yet, wasn't approved yet, or was just recently approved by the board. As Todd mentioned, the trick or treat trains are in full swing. Unfortunately, this year there was not a lot of coordination to request volunteers, so those requests went out a little late. Kim, you should have received their insurance updates for our new special events.
Twice.
And the first one was a village and then the second one was a town. And they are actually doing 2 trains per night, one leaving the station at 5 and dropping off, and then it goes back and picks up more participants at 6 o'clock. And when it comes back and drops those kids off, the other ones go back. So they have great turnout, great sales. But yeah, and a little better weather so far this year as compared to last year when it was so wet.
Until this weekend.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. And they're just on Friday nights this year. And the next Parks Committee meeting, is November 4th. Yes. the night before.
In the hallway.
In the hallway.
Yeah.
In the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
Or just the minutes. Will you email me them?
I have them. I can email.
You have the minutes as an email or as a PDF? I'll email you.
I can do whatever you would like me to. Pretty good at it. Not really. We'll
Yeah, I
figure
would say,
it out.
you just bring us the printed copy.
Okay. All right. So any questions on the park committee report? If not, proceed.
Then on the Booth Lake Park, our meetings are off again a little bit with our schedule here with the town. We're meeting again this week, winding down the season. The latest challenge has been related to the speed bumps. Again, we have some local town of Troy residents concerned about the speed bumps, but they get removed for the winter. So that'll be a topic of agenda this week. But otherwise, yeah, winding down the season until the, what do they call it, the pavilion lottery.
They don't like the speed bumps.
No,
Oh.
it slows them down.
In a 15-mile-an-hour zone?
Well, and
Come
there's
here.
a lot of near misses, I think,
Okay.
and that even still happen with the speed bumps that they talked about. Just even while we were there, people speeding through there in that area, and you never know when there's residents, so trying to put that to rest this week.
Okay. I see you also provided the special meeting from September 3rd.
Right, that was our board, our budget final meeting, yeah,
Okay. So that's good.
and the budget that we voted on last month.
All right. Okay, any questions on Booth Lake? All right. Thank you, Michelle. All right, Lake Beulah Management District report. Greg Thomas.
I don't have a report this month, but our next meeting is October 22nd. Here at Town Hall.
All right. Okay, thank you. Recycling committee report, anything, John?
Yes, the recycling committee met Wednesday, 25 September at 9:30 a.m. as posted. The 2025 recycling grants to responsible units application form was completed and submitted. Meeting adjourned. Number two, the e-cycling event Saturday, 5 October. Collection was lower than the last event with only about half a dumpster. I was there about 10 in the morning or so, it looked busy, but things fell off terribly. So it was only about half a dumpster this time, less than it had been. That's it.
Okay. Any library reports?
Yes, I have two meetings. First meeting was the library board of 10 September 2024. Number one, the board approved updated language to the circulation policy that will go into effect 1 January 2025. Youth materials will no longer be charged late fees. Lost and damaged materials will continue to be fined. Adult fines remain unchanged. The national and local trend is for many libraries to go fine-free for late materials for all age groups. Our policy aligns with the East Troy School District, which does not assess late fees for students. The library board meeting of 8 October 2024 as follows. An updated internet and computer use policy was approved. Number two, the 2025 holiday schedule was approved. Number three, October 4th was the open use day when the library staff renews CPR certifications and conducts cleaning and organizational projects. Number four, there are 3 more performances remaining for the play Wine, Cheese, and Murder. The Friends of the Library fundraiser. Performances are at 7:30 p.m. on Friday, October 18th, Saturday, October 19th. Sunday's performance is at 2 p.m. Tickets are $20 and are available at the library. That's all I have.
Okay.
Was that at Michael Fields? Was that held at Michael Fields?
Michael
Yes,
Fields?
held at Michael Fields.
Yes.
Yes, I'm
The
sorry.
parking lot was crowded the other night, so that's awesome.
Yes. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you, John, and thank Christina. All right, planning commission report, Supervisor Johnner.
October 2nd, Planning Commission met and voted to approve unanimously this variance request for the applicant. He has a hangar that was on the parcel of land for 45 years. It collapsed. He wants to rebuild it. So it passed unanimously. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the Planning Commission's recommendation and approve the variance request for PET 1400005G at North 8700 Sky Lane, Edward Rumpf.
Second. Hold on. Jim.
Could I have you add to your motion that you adopt the hardship findings of the Plan Commission in your motion?
Sure.
Just say that you adopt the hardship
I
findings.
adopt the hardship findings of the Planning Commission.
All right, do we have a second?
For this applicant.
Yes.
Ty was second. Further discussion? Hearing none on the motion to approve that petition for setback ordinance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Motion carries.
All right, motion to approve the rezone request for PET 1800006A at N8828 Stringers Bridge Road by West Rod Cottage Industries.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second under discussion. Recognize Attorney Mills.
Yes, I would like to remind the board, just like last month, motion should be based on the evidence, discussions that we heard earlier during public comments regarding the applicant. Should not come into your decision-making. If you are disregarding any of the evidence that was presented, that should be part of your reasoning too when we do a recall, a revote on this.
So this went to the county, and you got the letter from the county. They sent it back because they said, really, we had a denial of a denial last month, which is not an approval or a denial. So they wanted, they said, we asked that this letter and these requests be sent back to the town for further review. The county zoning agency simply needs to know if the town approves or denied the petition for rezone. And that's why we're back here. They need, before the county can act, they want a definitive answer from the town. That's why it's back here. And hence why I asked Jim to refresh everybody on why we're back here.
And I did see the memo from the county, and that is what they're requesting.
I have a question. Call the question.
Let's hold on.
Oh, if he calls the question, I can't, I guess the
Well,
discussion's over, so.
Do you have a question of me?
No, call the question.
He's calling.
I have,
Ty has a
that's all right.
Okay.
No question?
I'll rescind it to let Mr. Leonard speak.
My question is, with the way that this motion is written, am I allowed to make an amendment request to put conditional uses into this motion?
Not the way it's noticed. It's a straight up yes, no.
So you can't amend a motion?
No, actually,
Conditional use, you're voting on rezone.
yeah, we're voting on a
not conditional
rezone.
uses.
The plan commission never addressed the conditional use, so it's not part of this question. The question is rezone the full lot from C4 to C2. That's what the county wants to know, so the county can proceed with their action, what they have to do. So,
The only reason why you can't amend is because we would have had to, even on an emergency basis, post like 2 hours before the meeting that conditional use conditions were going to be part of the motion. Just so the public had notice, and if they wanted to appear, they could.
right. And furthermore, if the plan commission didn't act on it, we can't act on it either. We would be sending it back to them, and that could happen, but it won't happen by us. It'll happen by the county.
That's my understanding.
Yes, the county would do that, and they may. So, now, you said you rescinded the call to question. You still want, you called for the question yet? You want more discussion?
No, I'm good. If we can
No
go
more
to the vote,
discussion.
I'm good.
No more discussion. So, okay, so the motion is to approve the rezone request. And we'll do a roll call vote, so everybody's on the record here. Clarkowski, nay.
Leonard, yay.
Reyes, yay.
I vote no to the rezone for the applicant, John Stoss, West Rod Cottage Industries LLC owner. The applicant is requesting a rezone to take a substandard C4 lot and make it a C2 upland resource conservation district. My reason to vote no with the planning commission includes, I know and trust the planning commission's decision to deny this request. They have all done their due diligence. 2, the planning commission chairman Cook stated there was nothing submitted on behalf of West Rod Cottage LLC that contradicted the serious environmental concerns set forth by the letters opposed to this request or the public comments of experts, including Robert Nada, Tom Vanden Bogart, Dr. Jennifer Torsch Koska, and Patrick Bergen. Planning Commissioner Smith requested Mr. Stoss update the wetland delineation of the sensitive area, and that was not done. Dr. Jennifer Torch-Koska stated it was not the exact sensitive area, but that it is the sensitive area in concert with everything around it that protects and preserves the health of the lake. Mr. Mills found the August 2012 minutes in which Mr. Stoss stated the tax parcel reference PET 1800006 had 134 feet of frontage. The Planning Commissioner Smith stated the lot in the proposal would be a non-complying C2. It does not fit any of the setbacks for C2. It is less than 10% of the minimum lot size for C2. The Planning Commissioner Dynick also stated the shoreline cannot be disputed. It is C4. I agree with Planning Commissioners Dynick and Russell that changing this property zoning to something other than C4 would be setting a new precedent that would affect this lake and all the other lakes in the state. A change would be irresponsible because it is a sensitive area and a critical habitat. The experts have stated that changes to this sensitive area and critical habitat would cause a ripple effect throughout the entire lake. The public trust doctrine in the state of Wisconsin also places limitations on the state's actions as trustees of the waters. The state is prohibited from serving or advancing private interests and permanently approaching lake beds for private purposes. Wisconsin law recognizes that an owner of land that borders lakes and rivers are known as riparian owners. They hold rights to use the water next to their property. Riparian rights include the use of shoreline, reasonable use of the water, and access to the water. The Wisconsin State Supreme Court has ruled that when conflicts occur between the rights of riparian owners and public rights, the public's rights are primary and the riparian owner's rights are secondary. I vote no.
Aye, Johnner, aye.
All right.
Just for future reference, call to order, how is that a roll call vote?
Pardon?
Yeah.
How is that a roll call
vote?
It's what you.
Because the county wants to know what the decision is based upon. Both last month and just now, I advised that when you vote on this rezone, you should specify the reasons based on the evidence, or if you're disregarding the evidence, state so. Thus far, only Barb followed my advice.
And my reasoning is in the record, and it's gonna be in the record again.
My reasoning was at the last vote.
Same.
But the last vote, the county didn't understand. So what I will tell Jen is, whatever went up last month, she needs to include, and I'll go over this with her, a whereas paragraph saying, whereas the county sent it back to us for another vote on today's date, we are incorporating the reasons given last month, and then here is the breakdown of the 5-person vote this month. And that way it'll incorporate your decisions from last month.
Right. And as far as the roll call, that's it's in our ordinance. It said if it's not a unanimous vote, it shall be a roll call vote. That was changed 3 years ago.
Yes, it was.
So before the resolution goes to the county, is there any way that we can look at this before it's sent or drafts? Is it just Kim that drafts this?
Kim doesn't draft them.
So who drafts it?
Jen does.
Jen does.
Based on what is said at the meetings. She watches the meetings over and over and over again to get the verbiage correct as it was stated at the meeting.
Okay.
And I consult with Jen, and she already called me wanting to know how this resolution is going to have to be drafted. And I told her, we'll add a whereas clause indicating it got sent back. And here was the vote at tonight's meeting.
So the vote is the same. I will say that all of the advice recommendations et cetera, been ignored, been totally ignored. And I am not even proud to be part of this board with a decision like that, but that's why we have a board. You vote, and the vote is what it is. It's 3-2, so the motion.
No. Supervisor Reyes hasn't even voted yet, I don't believe.
Yes, she has.
Oh, you did? Okay.
She voted yes.
The vote is the same as the last month, correct? Nobody changed it. So that's where we're at. Okay, unfinished
And
business.
the reason it came back from county wasn't clear.
Correct.
But I think several of us had discussions with,
Hopefully not together.
no, with the county, if I can finish, with representatives from the county, and we have shared the data was the same, that it is, the rezone is requested only for the upland. That's how that it was.
That's not what.
And
Well, I do know that the county did comment on my comment that all of the discussions that were alleged to have occurred with Darren Schwanke were hearsay and should not have been considered. So the same would go with, any hearsay discussions happening with any other county board members. But I don't know if those discussions even came into evidence.
And possibly
Why would it be hearsay if you're going to the source of the process?
Because they weren't present at the meeting, able to be questioned on whatever the opinion they were giving to the plan commission or whomever.
But if they looked at the property and stated that.
Right.
That it.
I'm just telling you what legal foundation to get something in as evidence
We have to
is.
do our investigation.
And hearsay, unless it meets an exception,
Is not evidence.
does not come in as evidence.
Cannot.
Well, it can if it meets an exception. But other than Darren, I don't even know who else was spoken to at the county.
Kate Hastings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So other than, yes, and I did see that tonight. But prior to tonight, I had only heard of discussions happening with Darren and various members of the plan commission.
The motion this evening was not to do that dual zoning, it was to motion to approve the rezone request for the parcel.
Well,
And the county says the rezone request means only.
No, that's incorrect. That's incorrect.
well, that's for the county to figure out.
Yeah, the county will figure it out.
Yeah, they will, because the applicant, his own writing, he says, here's what I want, and that's what he presented. So that's what they have. That's why it's not part of it. Just like conditional use is not part of it. So, all right, we're gonna move on. Unfinished business, discussion and possible scheduling of date for a public hearing on consideration of a special permit under Town of East Troy Ordinance 16.05.180 to allow operation of an aircraft on waters of Lake Beulah. Remember at last month's meeting, there was a vote to say we're going to have a public hearing on this. It's noticed now to set the date if we want to still do that. I voted no last month only because I don't think it's anything we should even consider. If the board wants to consider it, I think they already voted to say they want to hear more, then we should schedule a public hearing. So that's my comments. What is the board?
Yes. Be recognized. Attorney Mills, you had a thing. So does the waterway have to be marked? Is that what I read? That you.
According to the statute, yes. I will tell you, though, that when the State Department of Aeronautics got back to me and they gave me the FAA regulations to answer the question what a special marking is, it was so, in my opinion, absurd as to how the markings are to take place. And unless you want to put pilings in the lake bed with buoys, marking where a landing and takeoff spot would be restricted to, that would be the only way that I think the board should vote on putting those markings in.
But
Well,
you
we
have
could-
to have them, is what you're saying.
If we're restricting the area of the lake
Oh, if we're
to
restricting,
takeoff
okay.
and landings.
Okay.
Now, I still want to see if there's any,
I got different information from the state.
I can show you the email.
I talked to.
So I do think that if it's scheduled for public hearing, there is no notice requirement as to how many postings or how many publicized notices in a paper it requires. Therefore, you default to 3 postings. So it'll have to be sometime in November.
So I think the request was brought to our attention. I think we owe it to the citizens to do our due diligence and hold a public hearing and better understand if there are risks or benefits related to it. So I would vote that a public hearing is the next step.
Ty, you already spoke on that?
Yeah, I'm in, I guess. Yeah.
I'm in.
You're in. Okay, and again, the question is, to have a public hearing, and like I said, if we're gonna do this, yes. The thing is we get a lot of requests, okay? And I think Attorney Mills mentioned a couple times already here that just because we have a request doesn't mean the board is obliged to do it, okay? But if you feel that we should, we do it. Is that fair enough?
It's fair enough. However, with respect to this particular request, because it's not a new ordinance, there is no requirement for a public hearing. I believe last month the board decided we should have a public hearing to get more information and input on the request and any concerns, what have you. But it is not required.
I'm all right with that.
All right.
I'd like to hear what people say, I guess.
Right.
So the question is, you know, should we do it? It sounds like we're gonna vote yes on that and then schedule a date. So the motion is, yes.
Because November is our public hearing for the budget, my suggestion would be to have the public hearing for this particular issue at our December 9th town board meeting.
Okay.
Prior to. And that's fine because I have an address I need to provide notice to the Department of Transportation because notice has to be provided to them in case they want to show up and speak.
Okay. Hearing no more discussion,
There is no motion on the table.
I'll make a motion that we have a public hearing for the request for the special event, special permit, Seaplane Lake Beulah, with a date to be the prior to the December 9th town board meeting. So 5:30, hour before. That's my motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion, we have a second. Discussion. Hearing
Is
none.
there a reason we wouldn't look for another date rather than waiting till the town board meeting?
Well, November is not a good,
You want to do it on a separate night?
November ain't gonna work.
November does not work.
5:30 is a little dim.
I mean, I think we could push it off till January, February.
All right, so that's my,
I know, that's what I'm saying. I think we got some time here,
Yeah, we
but
do.
that's just my opinion.
yeah,
but-
I don't, okay, so
Second.
we had a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Who is that? Barb? No, so 4-1, have a public hearing. I think it's gonna be at least an hour, so that should be good. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for your letter with the details and background.
Anybody wants to go fly to see what it's like, feel free to call.
okay.
That's tempting.
I think that's.
That is very
conflict of
tempting.
Always up.
All right, item B, approve Baker Tilly proposal for auditing services 3-year term. And we've pretty well looked at that. Was there any changes that?
The
were
only,
being done?
like I stated last month, they decreased the amount of the landfill budget and held it at the 2023 rate, which was for $1,475. So the total for 2024 would be $18,645. It's on page 6. Page 6 of, oh, you got it previously. You didn't get it in this packet again,
Oh.
but you have gotten it previously. So, for 2024, 18,645, 2025, 19,565, and 2026, 20,485. That's the only change. And I reviewed this against our 2021 proposal for them, and it's exactly the same.
Okay, any further questions on that?
I'll make a motion, we approve the Baker Tilly proposal for the auditing services for the next 3-year term.
Second.
All right, Joe Johnner, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. All right, new business, approved proposal for 2025 groundwater consulting services for Mead Hunt. This is for the old dump where our compost site is now. There was some math errors that Terry Mills found. Did they ever correct those yet, or are we gonna be subject to the correction?
No, he followed up with them,
Okay.
and it was a 10% cover. Did they tell you mileage and other expenses?
Yes, and
10% window or something like that.
basically, what I told Kim when I reviewed the response was it's okay to sign as long as if the board had questions regarding what any overage amount was to compare to last year, that you have those figures available. If anyone has that question. Otherwise, I reviewed it and they answered the question to my satisfaction.
I can get approved here to sign it, but I'm not gonna sign it until I have a corrected copy. I think
That
that
is the correct copy.
corrected.
Yeah, it is correct.
Okay.
What they sent us is correct.
All right, so the total amount went from 17,380 to what, 17,400 what? On page, compensation, page 3.
Right.
What is it?
It's total 17,380. That is what it will be.
Well, the 17,380 is what it was.
No, that's for 2025. That's 2025's cost.
Oh, it's all of 2025. But
Correct.
does that check what you had? I'm showing the 1730, 17,380 had to be wrong if the spring 2025 number was not 7568, but 7480.
Right, that 10% will still be there.
Right. So it's the 17,380.
So they had the total correct, even though the numbers right below it are wrong. That can't be.
Because the note says, the note says it already includes the 10% markup.
Okay.
That's what the response was, yes.
Okay, so if that does, then there's no error with the spring 2025. The 1068 and the 7568 are correct.
If that's what you approve, that's what you're approving, those figures.
Okay.
Anything over and above that would have to come back to the board and you'd have to
Okay.
approve those.
So it makes sense to me.
Yep, makes sense
And
now.
Jim, what's the guideline on multiple bids? 10,000, 25,000?
It depends on whether it's a service contract.
It's a service.
Right, or like a public works contract. This service contract would not have to be bid out, but typically it is 20, well, on a service, there are no figures that you have to comply with. Much like the the garbage bid that we'll be reviewing later.
Services and professional services, consulting, that doesn't meet that, doesn't have the criteria of the 25 and the 50,000 like Public Works.
That doesn't mean you can't vote
It's
to
not a
do
best
that.
practice.
Right. Mead Hunt has been doing this since we started, I believe.
Well, I had asked Kim, I said, I remember all of our contracts being with Symbiont in the past, but
And Mead bought.
they, yeah, it's just a new name for the same
Yeah,
company.
16 years they've been doing it according to their old letter, so, okay.
So they assume they're getting the business.
Well,
And
yes,
I did note it's, the, payment via EFT, ACH. You don't do that, right?
No.
Because it says if not
No.
feasible, you mail it.
No, we don't pay. There are very few things we pay by ACH. Very, very few. Auditor discourages it highly.
And
And you won't
we're not
believe
at
how many
risk.
scams I've caught of them, of trying to get to us. I mean, there was one for Canis. I've had a couple payroll, like pretending to be town employees saying I want to change my direct deposit and stuff like that. I mean, and the scams are out there. That's why we don't do ACH.
I will tell you, I'm not sure if they assumed they would be getting this contract when they sent in their proposal, but when the landfill was
History would
closed,
show it.
the DNR had a closure plan that this testing is part of.
Right.
And they know, quit moving your head. They know what is in that DNR plan for the town of East Troy landfill.
Right.
And what is required
Right.
of us.
And there's no competition, yeah.
all right.
All right.
Motion, please.
I'll make a motion that the town, that I authorize Chairman Clarkowski to sign the contract with Mead and Hunt for testing of our old landfill.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion
Did I
carries.
need to put the amount in there?
No.
No, but I do think you should specify which old landfill. We have two of
And
them in the
the
town.
year.
The current compost site by the airport.
So moved.
I guess
Current
amend,
compost
fix it.
site by the
Well,
airport.
we got it. We got it.
Well, I think on a new motion, the board should vote against. Just add that language.
amend
I
it.
make a motion that the town authorize Chairman Clarkowski to sign the contract with Mead and Hunt to complete the
Test.
2025 groundwater consulting services at the old landfill by the compost site.
Okay, so we have a second.
Second.
Joe Johnner, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, under also new business, motion to allow Supervisor Church to possibly appear virtually for November 18th meeting and authorize Attorney Mills to draft policy. Do them one at a time. Why don't you lead us, give us a little rundown on that? You did provide
I did.
a memo on that, correct?
I have a medical excuse for missing the November meeting, which is also the public hearing for the 2025 budget. I did not plan on missing the budget again. The Towns Association said it could be done, I could be approved to appear virtually if we did a vote at the meeting prior to my absence. If I could not do a vote prior to my absence, I would have to be declared just excused. But the Towns Association said, as long as you're having a meeting, take a vote, and then authorize Attorney Mills to create a policy for appearing virtually and the reasons behind that.
Okay, so that's why we got here. I do think there is probably something in the statute somewhere that talk about this because it's not the same as board of review or voting or any of those things. It comes down to the official acts of a town board. And I did not find a specific reference. Did you look into it also? or no?
I did, and I also asked the Towns Association
Okay.
to provide me with such. They have not set, they suggested that.
Okay, they didn't
Take
find
a
anything.
vote.
I'm not aware of any statutory requirement for
Okay.
that.
It is for other issues, but not for this. Okay, so I do think we should vote on that separately from the authorization for you to do your thing. So, I'll make a motion to allow Supervisor Church to attend virtually for the November 18th, 2024 meeting.
If I'm not
I'll
able
second
to.
that. Yeah.
I got it.
Ty, second.
Got it?
Yep. Discussion?
Yes. How are we gonna see her? Are we gonna get a
She can
TV?
explain, she'll explain
I'm
that.
gonna have a computer here. and
Oh,
I will be auditorily heard and, you.
see
can
now
look
if we
at-
had those monitors we talked about,
Right, right,
We could
I could
Right.
see you back there.
yes.
And we can
Um,
watch the game.
The other,
That too.
the other issue is that, if I am physically able to attend, I will. This is a caveat of my release by the doctor. Also, that if I do attend, I have a limit of sitting for only 15 minutes at a time. The rest of the time I have to be standing, so I would probably ask to be moved down past
Switch with Joe.
Supervisor Johnner.
Okay. Okay.
And this is for 6 weeks. So this is why I voted no for the seaplane public hearing, because that falls in my 6-week window.
Okay.
So
I was
moving,
wondering about that because you're the one that brought it up.
moving beyond November might suit me a little bit better, but.
Well, it's on for
moving
December
beyond-
9th.
It's on for
December.
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 Still within the 6 weeks of,
Okay, call the question.
So there may be two
Call the question.
meetings.
All right, you already had your comment. You had yours. Joe, did you have a comment on this? Or no?
If it's just for that meeting, I don't find any problem with it.
All
I
right.
feel that by the other one, at least I can stand through the whole meeting.
Okay. All right.
Is that for, sorry, is that for the public budget hearing that same night?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, so on
That's
the
why
mo,
I'm asking to do this.
yes,
Okay.
I know I called the question, but I do have one more question. Can I?
we're
retract
still in,
mine?
we're still in comment.
Okay. Are you writing?
That's separate
That's,
motion.
you haven't voted, that's
Okay.
not part of this.
Okay, on the motion to approve, allowing Supervisor Church, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Now we need a motion about Jim Mills.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize Attorney Mills to draft a policy for a town board member to appear virtually in extenuating circumstances, extenuating medical circumstances.
Second. If you wanted it.
Who made the second?
Joe.
Joe done. Okay. All right, we have motion second discussion. Go ahead.
I- oh, sorry,
I don't know if I like the word medical in there.
right. I
Can-
mean, if you're appearing virtually, does it matter why? Is it anyone's business? Well, I mean, obviously we would
Well,
trust one another.
This is supposed to be a seldom
Right.
used proposition, so I do
Exception.
think extenuating circumstances needs to be defined in the policy. Medical certainly would be an excusable
And
reason.
not just in South Padre.
Well, I mean,
I
can
mean,
we,
why can't you join a meeting virtually if you're out of state, whether it be for work or for pleasure?
or,
And if that's what you want as part of your policy, you can.
I mean, don't you want to maximize the attendance at the meeting?
Barb is providing her own tech for that situation. Are you guys all gonna do that too?
It's noticed as extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, extenuating is just that, and it will be defined, like Jim said, in that, so, all right, on the motion.
However, let me add this. We only need to follow town board policy regarding a particular policy if the board doesn't vote ahead of time, like Barb has asked,
Well, the
like a
town-
month before. If you know you're gonna be on vacation, just have the board vote. Can you appear or can't you? If they say yes, we don't even need to follow the policy.
The Towns Association required that I have a town vote prior to doing it.
Correct.
Every time.
Because we don't have a policy.
Well, no, they said that you should have a vote prior to using it, if at all possible.
Correct.
If you know.
okay.
Okay, on the motion, to approve Attorney Mills to do that, policy, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Does the board want to provide me with any other extenuating circumstances to put in a draft policy? Or should I just,
Can you just put in there, we should vote on it before the extenuating?
prior.
Well, how would you know though? What if there was a death in the
Right.
family? Or
I'll just put in there, if possible, the board should take a vote at the meeting prior to your
absence?
Right.
Okay, I like.
Yes.
Exactly. What if there's a death in the family, you're out of town
Yeah.
at night,
But
you're going,
but
but
if
you
you've
can't
got
make
this-
it back.
Well, and if you've got stomach flu, nobody needs to hear that.
Yeah.
That's true.
You want to know that? Okay, approved snow plowing charge for 2024, 2025. I wrote a note on my deal here. Todd came up with $50 per address. And we were doing a 3 or 5 year average. So has that been incorporated into the number you're going to use with your tax bills yet?
The only thing he did not add is, we added, was it a $3 or $4 admin fee to the fee?
Okay. But
But I think his question is.
yeah, we had,
Yes.
we have a
And
number.
I think he's still working on that
Okay,
5-year average. So but this year it was 70. So next year it'll be 50, say 54, 55, whatever you want to do.
okay. So I think we settled on doing a 3 year average kind of level out the deal. And we certainly have data now for 3 years. So he should come up with a 3 year number, and that's the number that you
comes
use.
to me.
Yes, for that.
But you still need to authorize Jim.
Yes, we still need that, so. we
I
need
make
it.
a motion to authorize Attorney Mills to draft a resolution for the special charge on 2024 tax bills for snow plowing based on the 3 year average.
All right, good. Joe Johnner, second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. All right, approve John's disposal service proposal. Wow, that's hard. For a new 5 year contract, authorize Attorney Mills to prepare a resolution for the garbage charge to appear in the 2024 tax bills. Is that right? 2024 tax bills or 2025? That's 2024 tax.
2024 tax bills.
Yes.
Which are
2025.
paid in 2025.
Okay. All right. And do we have a,
I reviewed the contract. The only thing that changed was they added a, like act of God paragraph, which is common in most of the contracts that I review. I double checked the figure to make sure that we are paying the same amount in 2025 that we were supposed to be paying. And then you're voting on what the increases would be for the remaining years.
all right.
So
Go ahead.
So at the last meeting, I thought we just had a proposal from them with new rates for 20.
They give
They
us a
reduced-
discounted rate for 2025. Because our
Right.
contract ends with
End
2025.
of
Correct.
25.
Yeah.
But
So
I
it's-
thought at that time, we were understanding that we weren't committing to another 5 years. I thought that was the discussion that we
That
had.
was the requirement to get the discounted.
Right.
um,
To get the
Right.
discount for next year, we had to commit to it.
New contract, basically, because it expires next year.
Mhm.
Yes. So,
I
And
thought
because of
not
the
what I-
excellent
that's what it
service
was,
we
too.
they provide, that's why
Was the proposal for last month something less than 5 years?
it was, it would have been a higher increase for next year if we didn't do a 5-year renewal.
But we're
Right.
already contracted for the rate for next year anyway.
Correct.
So
But
they're
we're getting-
giving us a discount for next year.
Right.
Which lowers the cost in the ensuing years because they're giving it to us cheaper next year.
That's what I recall.
well, the discussion also was is that we're getting excellent service from them, and we certainly are. We've been with them for a while now.
I think
So,
This is the third,
third
this would be the
contract,
third 5-year contract.
right. So
And I do not ever, ever want to go back to what we had.
no,
That was a nightmare for our residents and for myself.
yes.
And you all.
Your contract and authorize Attorney Mills to prepare a resolution for the garbage charge to appear on the 2024 tax bills.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None, motion carries. And the last item, the SMA, the state municipal agreement for the Beach Road Bridge project. I actually received that August 15th, but I had to do some checking with some of the terminology in here. And the bottom line is Beach Road Bridge will be 100% federal dollars if we release some kind. When we did the original submittal, we were toying with the idea of potentially widening that span from 55.5 foot to 70 foot to allow that multi-use trail to potentially go underneath that new bridge. That forced the raising of Concord Highway ES and making the project a lot larger than it really needs to be unless we really needed to widen that bridge. Looking at the multi-use trail, original alignment was to have it on Stewart School Road here all the way to the park and then jump back on the right of way at somewhere in the park. So this will be 100% federal dollars. They're saying we have $2.5 million. If the project decreases in scope somewhat, it's still going to be 100%. So it'll be $2 million versus the 2.5. And our municipal share, our share will probably be nothing. And that's the way it's gonna go. I also had discussions with Attorney Mills on this because he checks all agreements, and with the DOT, they have a very simple view on this. This contract has been scrutinized by every municipality in the state, town, city, village, county, and where it's at, and the terminology in there, it's where it's at. You want the federal money, you sign it. And that's where we're kind of at here. So with that, I would like to get.
You did review it?
I did review it. I brought, to include with a copy of the contract, every statutory reference that is in the contract. I reviewed all the statutory references. I'm familiar with what they say and require. I'm good with all of that.
And yeah, I get it. You don't have a choice, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Pretty much. You want the free money or you don't.
Yes, and that goes to every part of the process. The planning, the design and the construction. You are gonna follow the process the DOT lays out, which is dictated by federal highway. So yeah, you either want the money or you don't. Question?
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes. So who, this might sound, I'm glad everyone's left. We don't have a contractor for this at this money, correct?
No, this.
So we have to get a contractor to fall under this money?
No.
Or what, how does that
The
work?
agreement basically lays out the costs, and yeah, it's true that if it goes over 3.3 million, we'd be responsible for it.
That was my question.
But looking at these estimates, they take into account, inflation was a pretty high numbers, so there's plenty of money in here.
So it's 3.3 million.
And
Okay.
all
And
this-
on the back here, it comes up to
It's
2.5, basically.
Of federal funds, yes. That's if we do not replace the bridge in kind, and we are gonna.
It's $2.5 million. If we
is what the
do
money
not build a new bridge to the exact specifications as the current bridge, then it could be upwards of 3.3, and the town would then be required for that $808,000.
Yeah, but being that we're gonna
So
be-
this back page is the money that as long as we keep the bridge the same, that's what we're gonna
Yeah,
get. The
correct.
2.5, whatever.
Yes, this is
Okay.
very rare, because it's 100%. Normally it's 80-20 with federal.
Yeah, no, I
It's
understand,
100, yeah.
Joe. I just want to make sure that,
Yes, that's true.
but it's still, we still have to get bids.
No, okay. The state municipal agreement just says, we are committing to this project. It's gonna go on the schedule for 2029 construction.
State DOT
State DOT is
does the
gonna,
work.
is gonna hire the
They do.
designer.
Okay, that was my
They're
question.
gonna hire
Okay.
the consultant to manage the construction. They pay for all of that. If this was a normal one, we pay it all up front and then they reimburse us. So the bottom line is, whatever we spend on it, we're getting reimbursed for. Okay, but we're a lot, I mean, we haven't even hired a designer yet. That can't happen until this.
That's what I'm at, that's what I'm asking.
Right.
And then after the
So we
design.
have to hire a designer.
Through the state actually does it. We'll sit in on the selection committee and negotiating it. But the state controls the design and the control the construction,
All right,
all of it.
all right. This
And-
is gonna be the last.
Because we just
This is
own
gonna
it.
be my
And
question.
they're doing it.
Can this go over this money?
It can if we do not do the exact same bridge.
Replacing
Then anything extra that the town board decides they want to do to it,
Like make it a 4-lane.
I understand.
then that is
You're telling me
100%
that
on
the
town
government
to-
will, whoever
to
gets
finance.
contracted to do this will do it for this money.
No, it's gonna be a low bid. It's gonna be a bid. And a bridge like this will probably be 3 to 6 contractors that bid on it. Okay, and you have to follow the state process for bidding it. You know, everything from prevailing wage to, you name it, environmental,
Buy American.
all of it.
Yeah,
Correct.
Right.
It's all included in there. So, but they do the actual hiring of that contractor also. And again, this is the stuff I did for 50 years, right here.
Right.
All of it. So the only thing would be is for somehow this thing became super expensive. And
That's what I'm asking. So it could, we could have to
if
come
we
up
don't
with
like the
some money,
bids,
then we don't do
we
it.
reject the bids and we bid it again.
Okay.
And that happens occasionally, 5% of the time. So-
And it did say there are certain things that we are responsible for, like if there's
Right,
any
media.
utility issues
Yep.
or
Right.
signage and,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Public relations.
Yes, and the reason why it got
The
pushed
neighborhood.
out to this length is even though that railroad is not a commercial, public railroad, it's a museum. They still have to follow the railroad process, which adds 18 months to this job. I tried to tell them that it's not, a for-profit railroad. And they said, well, it could turn back to it someday. I guess they're right.
Will this shut the trolley down?
No, they'd have to buy they have to buy it from the trolley.
No, but during the
during the
construction,
construction.
Construction, yes,
it'll shut them down.
it has to, because their power lines go underneath.
And it'll be how long?
Couple months. Couple months. And again, if they post this thing so you can't drive fire trucks over it anymore, that'd be the bigger problem, so we gotta get this done, yes.
All I can say is 2029 seems very far away, but it's a good year because there's no general election,
No.
no fall election. in
We'll
2029.
move this up if we can, and that'll be
Don't.
part of my job, but I doubt,
I'd like
I
2029
doubt you can change the
or
process.
2027, but not
Not
2028.
Well, I like 2027 better.
All right, and any further
Now
discussion?
that the town has the bridge, we're gonna have to continue with the yearly inspections.
Right.
And that might not, I mean, the county could still post
Sure, that's their responsibility.
prior to having a new bridge there, that they think it's deteriorated to the point where you can't drive large trucks over it.
That could happen, because the bridge is in pretty bad shape. Okay, I need a motion.
I make a motion that we allow, approve Chairman Clarkowski to approve the state municipal agreement for the Beach Road Bridge project.
Second,
Mark Church, second. Discussion.
do it faster.
Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, attorney's report, anything, Jim?
None.
License and special,
None,
none.
Sweet.
Pending meetings.
too many. October 16th is the next Booth Lake Park Board meeting. October 21st is our final budget workshop at 5:30. October 22nd through the 25th from 8 to 4 is in-person absentee. We've probably gotten, I can't even tell you how many people have come in to vote. We've sent them away. October 24th from 4 to 7 is trick or treat for the entire town. October 29th at 9 o'clock is the public test of the voting equipment. October 28th through November 1st, we are doing in-person absentee 8 to 6 that entire week. November 4th at 5:30 is a park board meeting. November 5th is the general election. November 6th and 20th is planning commission. November 18th is a public budget hearing at 5:30. November 18th at 6:30 is the regular town board meeting, and the town hall will be closed the 27th, 28th, and 29th for Thanksgiving.
I think the trick or treat, well, it's not trick or treat.
Trick or treat.
Yeah. It
says treat.
I think
Oh,
it's the
sorry.
26th. I think Saturday's the 26th.
It is.
Here's the wrong date.
Yeah.
Yep, I did. It's the 26th.
The village has theirs on the 31st.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. We're gonna pay bills. Anybody can watch us if they want.
Gotta stand.
Okay. I think I got all those. You say you're into your fall, winter golf already?
No, we start the 30th,
Of what?
October 30th.
So how does that work?
It's indoor.
Where's that?
In East Troy, next to the bank, Citizens Bank of
Is that
Milwaukee.